Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Chasing Psychological Safety. This week, you have the both of us. As I was saying last week, it's never as much fun without Fionn. And what we wanted to talk to you about today is quite interesting, we think. Over the last few months, in our work with the teams that we have been working with, we do come up to a moment where people are slightly taken aback at times because the perception of psychological safety and its existence in their team and the reality are sometimes at odds. So we wrote an article about the fact that psychological safety is not an individual type of dynamic, but always the dynamic at the team level that we published yesterday. And today we just kind of wanted to take you through those type of reactions from teams again, in the hopes that it helps you and your team.
Absolutely. And I think the biggest shift for teams and people that we see when we're working with teams on their psychological safety and measuring that is the shift from your individual perception of psychological safety, which could be based on just your own experience and your observations of the people in the team that you're working with, maybe some individual conversations, but mainly your own perceptions and observations, to truly thinking in the team dynamic. And what happens for a lot of people is it's a bit of a shock. It's a bit of a surprise that there's a gap between the two. So you all think whatever you might think about the team, that it's got great psychological safety, that it hasn't got great psychological safety. But when you take the step of measuring it together and then examining that data together as a team and looking truly at the team dynamic, so using a tool, ours or something else, that allows you to take everybody's perspectives, put them together and truly measure as a group and learn as a group about how psychologically safe the team is, there can be a difference. And we spend a bit of time with teams preparing them for that, saying there could be a difference. What you see, whether that data looks bad or good, is good data. Because as long as we've got something to work with and we're learning about the team dynamic, we can take huge strides forward. So there might be a difference. Don't be frightened by that.
Indeed. And a piece of advice for leaders as well. As usual, the part that we address to leaders is a lot more cutting. Unfortunately, it's all on you, and we're gonna take the risk of being annoying with this piece of advice, which is, if you are in a position of leadership and you're evaluating how much psychological safety you believe your team has, keep in mind, number one, that you are in a privileged position and the ability to speak up is, in a sense, a lot more accessible to you as a leader. You never have to be invited. You're always expected to offer your point of view. You don't have the same fear of loss of respect or consequences in your work if you do speak up. It is indeed a much more privileged position from the point of view of psychological safety. So don't assume that anyone else in the team is in the exact same position you are. Number one. Number two, even if you don't have an extremely privileged position as a team leader and you think you're exactly in the same level as the team and you don't have a better seat at the table than anyone else, even if you are in a completely equal team, don't forget that, again, this is your perception is individual, whereas psychological safety is a dynamic at a team level. So it doesn't really matter if you feel personally like your team is good. It doesn't need to measure, doesn't need to do anything about these behaviors. You're probably wrong, and they do need to measure it and they do need to work on the behaviors. And take it down a notch, discount for your own personal point of view and your privilege, and then kind of start open-mindedly looking at the results of the team. So yeah, best of luck being as objective as you can, remembering that others are seeing things differently. And to quote Ted Lasso, all people are different people. This is my new favorite bit of advice. And we'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.